As someone basically, is it still recording?
Yeah.
As someone basically who I would say grew up around that culture in terms of the family that wants to like keep amasiko, but also like who believe in democracy, who believe in like who follow religion, you could say. Zonke ezaa zinto, I would say, in a personal way, did kind of push me and say, okay, this is something I would like to be involved in. So, like, on the art side, I could say most of my stories are influenced by that, and how I could say I take pictures and videos. It's always been I could say a thing of dizimele, but then I'm also interested in the culture, which is ndingatsho abantu abaninzi bangelo hlobo. It's like I want to fully express who I am, but who I am is not the standard way of doing it. It's mixed, so you literally be wearing ndingathi ngeli hlobo okanye ungathi trying to think ubone kwezinye indawo amagqirha anxibe ii-ulster, but i-ulster inganxitywa amapantsula ayapantsula, amagqirha ayaxhensa. It's like, so I've always been interested in that side. I'm like, okay, ubona umuntu onxibe i-ulster, but then it's like you also see it
in the cultural perspective.
Yeah, like why is it okay to wear it in that space? So then it makes sense. It's like, okay, I live in these two worlds where I'm a healer, but also at the same time I'm an artist. So it's like, oh, how do you intertwine the two? So I could say mnalo subject yobu urban culture ndiyibona ngelo hlobo elam ilizwe. Yeah.
So do you think like in a impact enayo, like the sort of the displacement of like a native language itself, like including the slang, because this is what mostly like it's urban language.
Yeah.
So do you think the lack of documentation, the lack of like care or taking care of a native language or things that relate to it, inayo impact ebanayo like in like the youth and in the urban spaces, and how like she's expressing a corner in terms of language and fashion, and as you said, all star being in two worlds mixing together. So
I actually divile the question, but the answer andivanga. But I think ngoku explain in terms of language and everything, as umuntu mna ndingathi oye kwi-model school but who's very culturally like inclined, where yonke into endiyicingayo it's culture, isiko, but always being in that environment where it's like, okay, ayamkelekanga ncam le nto, so how do I mix it? How do I urbanize it ngelam ihlobo? So ndingathi ndikwazile uyenza loo nto ngeento ezininzi, where it's like iintsimbi ziyanxitywa but then uyibona empahleni okanye uyibone kumnqwazi, okanye it's never like clear about into edibene ne-culture. It's like, oh, this person is bringing culture, but then but then he's also just urbanly, how do you like mix the two? So ndingathi ngelo hlobo nge-language ke ngoku kwelo cala le-language it's difficult, because ezinye izinto uye ungakwazi uzicacisa xa when you grow up in an urban kind of like surrounding. I-language yatshintsha because uya kwisikolo esimodel isikakhulu nithetha isilungu ixesha elininzi, so ithuba lokuba ndive ulwimi lam ndingatsho esikolweni I would hear it from like the housekeepers okanye abantu in the dining hall, where it's like awubulisi ngesilungu, you literally tell isiXhosa, and some words they would say you would be like, I've never heard that. Like isukaphi ungacinga uyathuka, but then umuntu uyakuhlonipha. So I think language wise it's a very deeper topic, which I can't really dive into, but I can express ngendlela endiyiyo. So it's like
it makes sense why you're the visual side. Her like istory sakhe esisibanisayo. Iyabonakala. Ndifuna ubuza, so as a healer, interact kanjani with that, because now ulapha wena, right? In 2023 sithetha ngokuzethi,
Yeah.
Moja, we call ancestors, some people, but it's an underground gang. There's a saying, Amago and shit. But so it's like, as a healer, exposed to this, because that's how we talk now. Where we use these languages. When you're in a space of you're trying to communicate, but you're also trying to express or you're trying to appease in you, like the ancestral side in you.
Yeah.
How do you balance communicating? Or is there such a thing as Buddha? Like now, type of thing. Like
for me, for the longest time, I felt bad. Sorry, but then it's also a blessing from them to kind of be able to be exposed to other languages, like Ufunda Lendi, where you find people to speak different languages, but at the same time, the main kind of campus or school language is English. So seeing them expressing their language, like other people who come from other African countries, like Kenya, Tanzania, seeing them being able to mix languages, the slang way of speaking, the slang way of mentioning is, like for me, I was like, okay, if I grew up in that environment, then surely Abantu Abadala should understand me.
yes, okay.
Because as much as you walk with them, and some of them have like a very, very old, like ngokoko and everything, at the same time, they understand it. So they can't really say, but every time this year, like to an art gallery or to an art space, it's more like saying, how do I still express lendoniyo party in my sphere, so it's more like I accept that world, but at the same time they understand and I feel like you get a lot of that now today in a lot of healing spaces, because I'm at 2000 now, because I see it in healing spaces also. It's like, I think you would think it's a cultural thing, like in the urban side of things, but then you see it in healing spaces also, where they like you're saying, I underground gang, and was born, and you'll be like, hey, song as healers, amagqirha or sangomas or whatever, but then it's also like, why are you speaking like this? But then you remember, oh, behind all of this, behind the gift, there's also that person. So, yeah.
So it sounds like to me there's a constant relationship between the connection you have with the ancient self and the person that you are in the modern world. So you're constantly, I guess, sort of grounded in both existences. Yeah. So do you think because I think I speak for Song that there is, and that's why this even exists, like this whole thing we're talking about, like there's an element of disconnect with ancient ways, and then there's the possibility of reconnecting through
modern ways.
So do you think do you see that in like the trends and stuff? Do you apply it to yourself? Yeah, already I can tell you. So do you see it, I think, in outside spaces, like an integration between now Siteta outside of like you, the healer, now Masiti, you in fashion spaces, you in video spaces. Do you see that in other people who I would say don't have like the healing gift that you have, but are present in this moment? Do you see that the integration of that, or the attempt to do so?
Yeah. Firstly, I would like to clarify like is if you're a creative or an artist in any way, you're already automatically a healer.
Okay.
Like there's no fighting that, because you look at art, fine arts, you look at poets, you look at abantu ababhalayo, like abantu, they'll literally heal you through their words, their art, and everything, which is an expression. And we to how do I express myself with my form of indlela ophilisa abantu. So nothi sonke iziphiwo azifani
As fine,
ekugqibeleni,
yeah.